Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Dive Podcast. I'm your host of the Trap or Dive Podcast, Mual. Dre is on the way. AJ is on the way. Appreciate everybody checking in live. Armani, what's up, player? Peace, Craig. What's up, player? Let's get the administrative items out of the way. If you are new to the YouTube channel, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Everybody hit the like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate that. We are, last I checked, we like 30-something away, slowly churning. 30-something away from that 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, bro. I am definitely excited. Just not at that, but just like at the growth part. This Trap or Dive community, man. I love every single one of y'all. It's been fun chopping it up with y'all every single day. We're on this show live, morning show, all 32 when we do go live on all 32. And then obviously the Commander shot as well in the post games, man. Post games are really fun. Appreciate y'all checking in live and all that stuff. Audio side, make sure you hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button or whatever it is. Just follow. Hit us with a rating review as well. It's free to do that. And it shows your support that way as well. So we definitely appreciate that too. This man Feastgrass and we got him through the robber very early. Well, look, let me tell you. Let me get the fellas in here first. Armani, you in school? Armani says the semester break makes it easy for him to check in early. About time you get a good season to cover. Yes. Peace Crash said we got him through the round very early, like I mentioned. What was my point that I was about to mention? Oh, the Ron Rivera era was tough for a lot of people, but I'm not sure a lot of people really thugged it out for real. Because you did mention that. You did, Amani. A while ago. But I don't think a lot of people was really fine with everybody on this show during the Ron Rivera era. So I'm saying some people kept it a buck. I mean, all of us kept it a buck, but some people was a little bit more rough than the regular, commentator out here. So I'm glad we got you through, Peace Crab. At the end of the day, that's all that matters because we are on and better to better. We are on and moving to better things. Will, what's up? Appreciate you checking in. Fellas, Dre and AJ has just checked in, man. How y'all feeling, man?
Shit, man. Good, man. You know what I'm saying? Outside of this little blizzard we got, and we possibly getting more, I'm over the snow already.
If this is a blizzard, bro. The way they talking about Saturday.
Hey, I drove to PG County today, bro. Them roads was terrible.
For real?
Yeah. I mean, I live in Charles County, so Charles County actually did a good job with snow detail, but PG County, I don't know what they got going on over there, man.
Now I'm asking because like on some real live stuff, because I meant part of the administrative items was I don't know if I was doing a morning show tomorrow because I may have to go into work. But they also said stay clear of the roads if the roads in PG is bad. I really have no idea. Like they just got to our neighborhood like 5 hours ago. So
you might be good because this was this morning. I don't know. Like they may have done something after, but this morning it wasn't good.
Okay, bro, you had to walk your dog. How early you had to walk your dog then?
Man, I just let him outside. I got a gated fence, so my little, I let him outside my little fence area on days like this. Normally, we go for a ride and I take him out to a yard or some big field. But on a day like today, he just going out a little closed little yard and that's it.
What's up, AJ?
Not much, man. Cooler.
Nahas Senna. Sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, bro. My bad. But Nahas said we're gonna get that out of the way.
AJ,
and this is all we're gonna talk. That's all we're gonna talk about it for today and until the off season. Because I think he's staying in Miami, point blank period. He's just a crybaby, bro. Naha asked for the strength of, because I think you a first time chatter too. So if you are, or if you aren't, let me know.
He's been here.
He's been here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, appreciate you checking in, bro. He said, "What are you willing to trade for Tyreek Hill?" Just curious. He was going hard about it yesterday.
What's good, Nahar? Appreciate you tuning in. I don't want to say I went hard. I just made no Diddy. But I just made a regular comment. Like when you sit here just thinking about the future, which is coming up, off season is not that far away. If you sit down and think about it, if we got another wide receiver putting his name in the pool of availability, I personally rather have a Tyreek Hill that's going to dictate coverage more than a T. Higgins, especially if they're going to be asking. Well, not even asking. T. Higgins is going to be at a high number if he enters free agency, at least over $26 million. And the lower extremity injury history and everything like that versus a Tyreek Hill. I mean, we're talking about a guy that almost went for 2,000 receiving yards last year. This year, Tua Tagovailoa had his injury issues, and I think that's one of the main reasons why Tyreek Hill openly spoke about it at the end of the game. He realized during the game that they had no choice of making it in anymore, and he was like, "Forget this. Like, I'm going to preserve myself, especially in the back of my mind. I know that I want to get up out of here. Anything could happen to me running these routes." But overall, I think he looked at it like Tua's not going to be available consistently, so I need to do what I think is best for me. Personally, what I would give it for Tyreek Hill, I'd be willing to part with a second-round pick. I wouldn't do a first-round pick. But, I mean, I've seen some of those tweets kind of come out today from, like, accounts that I won't mention, but, like, prominent. Well, not prominent as far as like where you get your sports news, but they're prominent pages stirring up like hey, the combination of Terry and Tyreek.
Oh, FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean, but we got a sponsor. You feel me? So it's like I wasn't gonna mention that. But yeah,
hey, join the club, man. Hey, FD, bro, we need you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's one of those things where it's like I like T. Higgins as a player. I'm concerned about the injury stuff, but from a explosive standpoint, what I feel this offense really needs to fully open it up for everybody, Tyreek brings that to the table. He's not falling off by any metric.
How old is Tyreek?
He's 30. Terry's 29.
He be 31.
He'll be 31 this year, and Terry turns 30 this year as well. So it's like to mention age is insane. I just look at it from a scheme standpoint. Like, yeah, I would definitely go that route and just take his contract. Maybe even could renew it. Yeah. I don't know. That's me. But, a lot of people reminded me, thank God you're not the GM of the Washington Commanders, And I said, thank God my name ain't Ron Rivera. So,
first off, stop saying his name, bro. We don't say his name on the show.
Hey, I mean, when it's like, of course, we all are doing hypotheticals, but I see it as a real possibility of them exploring and also something from his end he would be interested in. My co-host Mual hates hypothetical trades, but that is a real thing. It's not far-fetched.
Getting the people hopes up, bro.
Hey, man, in order to, you gotta have faith, man. You gotta have faith. But
look, I have faith that we're gonna win a Super Bowl within the 5 years. I got faith we're gonna win a Super Bowl. Do I got faith we're gonna trade for certain players, bro? Not like Tyreek.
I don't know. I didn't expect them to trade for Marshawn Lattimore either. So
I ain't gonna lie, I did think, but I said this. I don't know about y'all, but I was like, bro, if anything, we was gonna go DN, we gonna go defense. Period. If we was gonna trade for somebody, I thought we was gonna go DN or cornerback. I didn't know Marshawn was on the trade block, but we was gonna go get somebody.
Yeah,
I ain't think we was getting a receiver. Like,
I don't think Tyreek.
I mean, after the receivers started going like Amari Cooper and stuff like that, there was nobody else to even think of pursuing. I definitely didn't know what they were going to do. I never would have thought in a million years it would be a all-pro corner in a Marshawn Lattimore that would be available. Like, that's just not something that you typically see.
Well, the good news, speaking of Marshawn, since we are on that subject, Naha, I appreciate you asking that question as well. Again, we will revisit in the offseason. But no, I appreciate you asking that question. But Marshawn, AJ, now that you brought him up, Dan Quinn did speak about him. Yep, what's today? Tuesday? Spoke about him yesterday. And he mentioned that, things are trending upward for Marshawn. We finally got our idea of who we were going to play. Last time we talked, fellas, it was going to be Los Angeles or it was going to be Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay ended up pulling it out. So we have our definitive matchup. We got the prime time in quotations slot. I mean, every playoff game is isolated, but prime time playoff slot, 8:00 Sunday against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's I think, like, for the most part, or I lean for the gambler's sake, I lean that Marshawn is playing. And we get that matchup that Mike Evans and Marshawn reuniting reunion matchup that some people did want to see, including me. What do you all think about the matchup now that it's finalized? I don't remember if y'all preferred LA over Tampa Bay. I don't remember. But what do you all think about the matchup now that it's finalized? I, for one, love the idea of Washington going up against Tampa. I spoke on this on the morning show, actually, and my main reasons had a lot to do with Marshawn's familiarity with Tampa Bay. I also think that the idea of him playing in this game can really disrupt an offense in Tampa Bay. Not because he's like an ultimate difference maker, but like he has a history with Mike Evans. He has a history with Mike Evans. You can actually maneuver in terms of how you attack this offense. You're going up against the second-ranked passing offense in the NFL. Like, no ifs, ands, buts about it. That's a lethal passing offense behind Baker Mayfield. But at the same time, that guy and Marshawn, who has a significant edge over 4 or 5 years of playing against these guys, where Todd Bowles was a coach, whether he was the defensive coach or the head coach, he has 4 or 5 years of experience playing against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Washington already played them early in the season. Granted, that was 18 weeks ago. So, like, they've clearly changed, but you still have some familiarity with the players that you played against. I think that Washington is in a position with Marshawn on board where you can really cause havoc early on, but you have to take advantage of the havoc that you cause. You cannot find yourself trailing. You cannot find yourself missing opportunities. And I think Marshawn is going to provide you some opportunities against this Tampa Bay offense and Tampa Bay team overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to jump in real quick, I think it's a good overall match. Didn't have any preference who they played. I still would have thought that they would have an opportunity. I think this is a dangerous team with the fact that you have Jaden Daniels. I think the key would be to keep the ball in his hands as much as possible. Tampa struggles against the pass coverage at this point. I think a lot of variables that we have to take into effect when we think of that week 1 matchup to open up the season against Tampa versus now are that was Jaden Daniels' first game, like first full game since maybe November of 2023, his last game at LSU. That was also the offensive line's first time playing together as a collective. Because as we know with preseason, it was a lot of mismatch. They also didn't have Brandon Coleman. Of course, like they were still doing the rotation between Cornelius Lucas and Brandon Coleman at left tackle. But that was the first time everyone played as a collector, from Biadasz to Wiley to Allegretti to Cosme. That was their first appearance as an offensive line unit. That was also the first game that Cliff called as the coordinator for a new rookie quarterback. So he also doesn't know the nuances of the players that he has. He has an understanding of their traits, but actually seeing it on film and knowing what they can and can't do, it's different. You feel me? It also was like almost 100 degrees plus. and you had, on the defensive side, you had guys like Bobby Wagner, Deron Payne, and others that didn't play a snap in preseason going out there for the first time. So I think we got to look at it from that perspective. But having a Marshawn Lattimore definitely brings a different nuance to this defense, as we've seen in the 2 games that he has played as a Washington Commander. Mike Evans and Lattimore definitely have some tension with each other, some history. But even if they have to supplement, Marshawn Lattimore for some snaps and give like a Ben St. Juste or Michael Davis an opportunity at Mike Evans, this is a more favorable matchup for them in comparison to shiftier guys. This is someone that is comparable to them in size-wise, not really, a guy with a bunch of change of direction. Of course, he can still make catches. He can still run some routes, but these are individuals that they've had some good matchups with, some good battles. Michael Davis himself with the Chargers, those things, not saying that you want to count on those individuals, but it's good to have to be able to throw different things out there. And Mikey Sanders will now be on the outside versus being inside as he was in that debut game. Mikey also has familiarity going against Jalen McMillan, who's starting to be a upcoming player for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers due to the fact that they played each other. Huh?
I'm saying he stepped up when Godwin went out.
So Michigan and Washington played in the championship game. So I think it'll definitely be a great matchup. I think it'll boil down to how Marshawn fares, but I see him playing. And then there's another aspect. They just got to finish up on Baker Mayfield. They missed a lot of opportunities in that week 1 matchup.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I didn't really have a preference as far as opponents go for this first wild card game, because when you think about the playoffs, everyone's dangerous when you get to this point in the season. Like anybody, everyone's here for a reason. With that said, I do like Washington's, matchup here against Tampa Bay specifically because we have seen these guys already this season. And I do think that, these teams will approach this game a lot differently than they approached this game at the beginning of the season. I think when Washington approached this game at the beginning of the season, it was more of a filling out process because, as AJ alluded to, this was a game where this is a completely new team. Like, this is a big roster turnover, rookie quarterback, brand new coaching staff, ton of new players that's never played against each other. So you're just kind of getting the filling out process. Whereas Tampa Bay came into the game, kind of expecting to beat Washington, because Tampa Bay was coming off a playoff appearance last year. Washington's coming off 4-13, knew everything. Tampa Bay's kind of expecting to win. They went out there and they handled business against Washington. But now they're coming into two different situations. Now Washington, is 12-5. Finished with a better record than Tampa Bay and is viewed as one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL. So Tampa Bay is on alert for that. Washington should be coming into this game with a little bit more confidence. This is kind of the revenge game, so to speak, for the coordinators. Cliff now, he has a better idea of what he wants to call against these guys. Joe Witt should have a better idea of how he wants to position his guys on defense. I'm expecting, a different Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is a completely different player than he was in the first game. That first game against Tampa, it was a lot of takeoff run. And I remember a lot of the criticism in that first game about Jaden was him not keeping his eyes downfield. Then you start to see over the course of the next few weeks, Jaden's keeping his eyes down the field, and he's a different quarterback. So Tampa Bay is kind of facing a different quarterback. It's not the same rookie quarterback with zero experience that Todd Bowles was expected to go out there and dominate. So I'm expecting something different from him. But defensively, it's going to be a task. Even though we've seen these guys before, this is going to be a battle. Like, I do feel like this is going to be one of those games where you're not going to win a low-scoring game. Like, you're not going to win if the offense is having an off day. Like, you have to, go out there with the approach that we might have to have a shootout against Tampa Bay because that offense is lethal. Baker Mayfield's thrown for 4,500 yards this season. Bucky Irvin has ran over 1,000 yards this season. They are missing Chris Godwin, which is, an assist to Washington's secondary, which is not that great. But now we have a Marshawn Lattimore, as we've been talking about. This is a guy that, hopefully we have a Marshawn Lattimore. We don't know if his status is, available or not, but he is trending upwards. And that's a guy that we didn't have at the beginning of the season. And that's somebody that you're going to need, especially with a Chris Godwin out. That takes a little bit of pressure off you. But Tampa Bay still has a good receiving core. Of course, Mike Evans is a dog, but Marshawn, that's going to be his matchup. Jalen McMillan, I'm assuming that's going to be the matchup with Sanders still. Those two are going to be lined up. Then you have Sterling Shepard in the slot for Tampa Bay. So that's going to be something for Noah, who I actually think has been kind of struggling these last few weeks. I thought Dallas kind of worked him a bit in the last game. So, that's going to be something to watch with him on Sterling Shepard. But again, I'm interested to see how this team approaches this game because they should be coming into this game with some confidence. I mean, I think it was a 5-game winning streak we ended the season on. 5-game winning streak. You should be coming into this game with confidence. You got to get Jaden going early. I thought Jaden, probably struggled a little bit against the Cowboys, but I don't know what his mentality was going into that game. It was a meaningless game outside of seeding, but you want to see him get out to an early start, especially in a game where that you're going to have to put up points to beat this team.
Shout out to my man, Amani. We got to show some love to the newest member of the Trapper Dive channel, man. He is officially a trapper with Al 2 and the good man, Hawk, man. Appreciate you, Amani, always showing your support. You've been around for a little minute, man. We appreciate you always coming through. And, man, showed up on his off day. Said he ain't got to do no teaching today. We appreciate you, big dog, over there from in the West Coast and stuff like that. So, thank you. And he said he thinks that we see a bunch of Payne and John Allen at the end to stop the run with Newton and Michael Newton in the middle with Davis. I do. So like they deployed. So what Washington is doing defensively, since Allen has gotten back, is using Daron Payne exclusively. Like if they show the three defensive tackle alignment, they have Payne exclusively at edge. And I think honestly that's the best fit for them because best fit for them from the sense of like if they use those three defensive tackles, one thing I'm seeing from John Allen, I think either he's still rusty or he's like losing the athleticism that he did have. What's concerning from a long-term standpoint is like the juice as a pass rusher isn't there no more. I'm seeing that on tape. Like he's not like super slow off the ball, but like his quick twitch in terms of like his lateral quickness, his hand usage, being able to how do I say this? Connect with his upper body and lower body movements. Those things aren't in unison. And it's not always the case, but even when some things do work, like that's when the lateral quickness comes into place where he's not able to corner that offensive guard, and like he's not able to get that pressure. One of the biggest things for him at this point is like he's successful as a power rusher. So like those things work for him. If he just wants to bull the offensive lineman back into the quarterback, or drive the offensive lineman back into the quarterback, that works for him. But I say all that to say the idea of having those three defensive tackles out there does work for Washington. But Daron Payne and as a run defender is probably what fits most. What's going to help these guys when they go up against Tampa Bay from a defensive standpoint is several things. I think gap discipline is going to be important. I think, and what I mean by gap discipline, I'm talking about from the first and second level. It starts at the first level. Like if you take these guesses, or if you take these, if you have assignments, like for example, like if you have like an assignment where you're slanting into an opposite gap, like you're lined up on one side of the ball as the 3 technique, right in between the tackle, the center and the guard. Tackle and guard, but you slant over into that 1 technique or that A gap. You still got to be able to locate the football. And some of these guys, like for example, Sheldon Day that I see at times, and it's not just him, it's other defenders as well, but like that's the most glaring example that I'm thinking of right now. They're engaged with the offensive lineman, but they aren't necessarily focused on the football. They aren't necessarily focused on the ball carrier. So when they're engaged with the offensive lineman, they're not fighting back into the play side gap. Like they're just engaged with this offensive lineman. This, like, if you aren't able to, if they're sending you outside the gap, outside the play side gap, and like just driving you away, or they're sealing you off, right? And you have no awareness of where the football is, it makes things a little bit more difficult for that second level to make the play as well. And that's just an example of sometimes how they were able to, get to that second level. And I think that front level, when you talk about Payne, you talk about Allen, Newton, we're talking about those prominent names, but people like Sheldon Day, I always forget his name, but the edge
Carl Davis.
Yes. Carl Davis did an okay job sealing the edge, man. He's very disciplined in terms of his technique and his assignment, right? So like he didn't play like terribly. Like he has like a few certain roles on his defense and he plays it well. He just doesn't like stand out as like a game record, but he like does his job. Player. Yes, yeah. He does his job. But the guys that you named specifically, Amani, I think that's an important part, especially with the three defensive tackle alignment. But these guys have to do a better job up front of like being in the right position with their gap discipline, but also understanding where the football is and being more aggressive at that point. I think Johnny Newton does a good job as a backside defender, locating and showing that effort and hawking down the ball carrier. I think that's really good for Johnny as a play side defender. The biggest issue that we know at this point, obviously, is his ability to defeat those double teams and combo blocks. And that's what gets him in trouble. One more thing that I'll mention, because I know I've been talking for a little minute. Offensively, is Jaden, and this is important to me because a lot of people try to disregard it, right? And it's a subtlety. It's not a huge deal, but it can become a huge deal if you take what he's doing and you place it into a particular moment of the game and you're like, why would you do that? Right? A question was asked in his presser, Dan Quinn's presser yesterday, on giving up 6 sacks against Dallas, and if the injuries played a role in giving up more sacks of recent. Dan Quinn said the following: honestly, I thought in this last game, 3 of them could not have been sacks. Get the ball out, throw while you're on the scramble to go. So they weren't all in a traditional sense of in the pocket to go. Now, what I don't love is the negative play that comes with it. On the early downs, that goes into 2nd and 15 or 2nd and long, because then it kind of changes how you have to call it. So those are definitely early down ones. We've got to get that out of our game. AJ was one of the people who mentioned me on game day. He wasn't the only one. And this is why I bring it up, because several people just didn't understand where I was coming from, because the play that I particularly mentioned it on was like a 3rd down, and he just stepped out of bounds. It's 4th down, and you got to punt the ball away. This has been a case all season long with Jaden Daniels. And if there's one thing that frustrates me with him, and everybody knows, I don't even have to preface this, but y'all know I love Jaden Daniels, like, as a quarterback. I don't even have to preface this. But if I'm talking about criticism and talking about areas to improve, Dan Quinn mentioned one area, but if you have these moments, you risk, and if you're not throwing the ball out, or if you're not getting rid of the football in a timely manner, you're risking losing yards, you're risking turnovers, you're risking injuries. And these are the things, because all 3 of those things can impact the way a coordinator can call the game. And I think all of those things are important when you move forward about how you decide to know when a play is dead. I would never take away from Jaden's ability to throw to make a play when he thinks that a play can still be revived. But at the same time, when a play is actually dead, you only know that from our perspective. You only know that on tape. But when you know that a play is dead, do not extend it to the point where you can't extend it any further. Like, let the play do its talking. Understand that you can survive for another down. And that's kind of where I'm like, he has to understand these things as he gets older. He's a rookie, and I accept that. And I'm not going to be too hard on him. But I just understand at this point, that's one area where I'm like, bro, throw the ball away. Let's move on to 2nd down. Let's move on to 3rd down.
But
if it's 4th down, get rid of it.
How many times is that happening on a 1st and 2nd down?
It happens a lot.
It's happened. It's happened a few times.
I noticed it, and it frustrates me.
But I'm saying, like, it's not like, oh, he's losing 6-7 yards, even if it is happening, right? It's still the same yardage. Like, it's
losing 1 or 2 yards is important to me on 1st or 2nd down.
3 yards is just as important as 3 yards is a big deal, bro.
If we broke it down, I'm pretty sure most of those.
And on top of that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but on top of that, like, that's a sub point. My main point, like, it's not just about the losing yards part, bro. Like, you can still, because imagine if he doesn't throw the ball away and he tries to force it over the middle. There was one play, I can't remember the team, so please forgive me, but there was one play where he forced it over the middle one time, and it's damn near a turnover. And like, those things happen, but it's still the fact that he has that in his toolbox where it's like, bro, you cannot do that. You can't do that.
See, my problem is I ain't never been in Jaden Daniels' situation before, right? But if I had a super talent, I think I would push it to the limit. And that's him pushing it to the limit, where he feels like he still has an opportunity to create outside the pocket, and he's holding on to the hope that maybe someone does get open in those scramble drills. So it's like, yes, things could happen, but it's like no risk, no reward. Because I see Lamar Jackson do the same exact approach. You know, maybe it's right. Not a bunch.
I'm about to say he has taken 12-yard sacks, 20-yard sacks before. Lamar has done that.
And that's cool with me because I also know what's the reward if they hit. But I'm talking about in Jaden's situation, most of the time when he's doing that, it's third down and it's going to be fourth down and fourth and long.
We ain't compartmentalizing. We ain't doing that, bro. It ain't most times it's on third down. He doing
majority. Okay, how many yards? How many yards do you think he's losing on the first and second down?
I don't have an answer for you. That's an impossible question.
All right, we can come back to this Thursday because it's really not. To me, it's not that deep, and I think for a coach to try to emphasize that into his player who is a playmaker, he's not going to do that. Like you guys said, it's been happening all season. He has not stopped, not one time. He's still doing what the hell he wants to do.
But right? Dan Quinn just made comments about it.
Yeah, he made a comment about it, and Jaden Daniels was like, fuck your comment because I'm still playing the position. I still think that there's a chance that something could break. Okay, bet. That's what I'm saying. It's a risk reward thing.
Look, like, I don't disagree. All right, so look, I don't disagree with the risk reward like aspect of it, right? Like if you don't take that gamble, like I'm gonna give my guys because I trust my guys to find a way to get open. But I don't take, for example, the 40 or 50-yard bomb to Terry against the Cleveland Browns. Like that's a scramble drill play. Like I get it. And there's evidence of things working out in your favor. There's evidence of things working against you. It's my bottom line issue with this, because I'm not going to repeat everything I just said. My bottom line issue with this is that it's a bad habit to keep presenting on the field. It's a bad habit, and I think for Jaden, who is a very capable playmaker, you have to be very. I wouldn't even say very. I don't want to qualify it. You have to be selective of when it's time to extend the play. There's critical moments of a play. There's critical moments of a game. Every single game that you're in, 2 minutes, 4-minute situations, red zone, third down, fourth down. You're down 2 scores in the second half. You got to make a play. Like there's always context to when these plays really matter. But when the game is even, when the game is like, the game is not on the line and you know that you can survive a drive, like that's where I'm like, that's my bottom line, is understanding the context in which you can do these things and preventing bad habits from growing even further. We don't have Lamar. We don't have, somebody mentioned Josh Allen in the chat. We don't have those two guys. And for me, like, again, I'm a person who fucks with Jaden Daniels so much, bro. I don't want him, like, again, he's going to do what he does. This is my opinion. I don't want him to develop that bad habit, because these things can continue to be a part of somebody's game to the point where it's like, if he doesn't work on this and become very cerebral, and I trust him, like he can do this. Like if he doesn't become cerebral and selective in terms of like when he knows and he's aware of when he has to make a play, then there's going to be moments throughout his career in big games where you wanted him to do something, you lose some yards, and it's like it's detrimental to the drive and or impacts the outcome of the game.
And let me just speak real quick on this. This was actually something that Jaden dealt with in college when
AJ, did he freeze or am I?
That's pressure to sack. Pressure. One of the things. Can you hear me now? Am I good? I'm here. Okay. I don't know. Mual. Okay. All right. No. This was an issue going back to LSU when you looked at his pressure to sack percentage. it was high. And that's one of the things the analytics guys brought up a lot. But a lot of those sacks were those 1 to 2 yard losses, but Jaden would just step out of bounds. Now, I don't like when he does that because I'm like, all right, you're going out of bounds, just throw it out of bounds to save the 1 or 2 yards. And I know AJ is saying it's not a big deal, but to me, that's a big deal if it's on a first or second down and it comes down to a crucial play in the game. Like when you're talking about a third down, or maybe we like to go for it on fourth down a lot. You need sometimes that yard. Now, this didn't happen on this particular play I'm going to mention, but the Zach Ertz play in the Pittsburgh game where he's a half yard short. Like that can be the difference when you take that 1 to 2 yard loss. You need that. This is a minimal criticism of Jaden, and it shouldn't trigger anyone. This shouldn't make anyone mad because we all love Jaden Daniels, and I think he's going to be a superstar quarterback. I think he has potential to be the best quarterback in the NFL, but we're just talking about things that he can get better at, and that's one of the little minor flaws that I've noticed of Jaden is that when he knows he's about to go out of bounds, and he knows when he's going to go out of bounds, instead of taking the 1 to 2 yard loss, throw it away. Like we don't need the sack yard loss. We can use that extra yard, especially for a team that likes to go for it on fourth down. Like we like to go for it on fourth down. We need those yards. Like those yards are critical. We like to be in at least a good third and manageable situation, and we do not need to lose any yards. So that's just one of the little minor things that I like to see Jaden work on is when you know you're going to walk out of bounds or go out of bounds when the play isn't there, just throw it away on your way out of bounds. That's it. Simple.
Let me talk about Moneyball right quick, bro. He said, "Mom, maybe your boy." He said, "Maybe your boy B-Rob need to make a play." You know what's funny, Moneyball? I think I saw you on Twitter, bro, making a comment about Eckler, bro, and he had 4 yards of pop against the Cowboys, where he had like 10 yards or 12 yards. But Moneyball says for people that's listening to the podcast, maybe your boy B-Rob needs to make a play. Eckler getting 4 yards of pop. Jaden has to do it all. SMH. I ain't here to hear none of that.
Now he said honestly,
I think you said what? He
said it's nitpicking now. That's he just told me it's nitpicking.
I think all right. Well, look, I see what type of time he on. I'm not even gonna go down this route then, because I can see that this was a mistake.
They are bored. They are bored. That is why.
Yeah,
because this is a non-topic for me because it's like.
But can we hold on, wait. Things about
AJ's not trying to hear this. AJ's not look. You said what?
So if Dan Quinn says it in the presser, right, and the coaches, whether it be Tavia Pritchard, Brian Johnson, Cliff Kingsbury, are supposedly behind the scenes telling him this, he has not listened to them one game this season.
Well, he's done it. He's thrown the ball away. He just ain't thrown the ball away enough to their liking. And to AJ for AJ and we can transition because I'm actually I don't want to keep harping down this conversation.
You guys are making me pissed about this topic.
But first off, we talk 20 minutes. We talk 20 minutes the other show about some bullshit. Like this ain't bullshit. This is a real thing.
Man,
I know you're playing. Yeah, I know you're playing. But I want people to know in the chat, like, people think this is a minute thing. Like, think about it this way. We talked about 1,000 positives throughout this entire season about the team in general. I'm not talking about Jaden. Because there was so much positive going on throughout this season that we discussed a little bit of areas of improvement, and it seems like this is like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, sure, like, we understand that Jaden is a superstar. I think that he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFC right now. Like, we understand that. But
the best in the NFC.
I gave him some grace right now while I'm trying to make my point. I think he is like, he top 2, and I don't think he number 2. But I think to sit here and say that there ain't no quarterback. I thought you had
the Hall of Famer golf ahead of him.
Nah, first of all, I ain't trying to hear that. But if you're talking about a person that almost threw me off, I ain't gonna lie to you. If you talk about a person in the NFL, any player who doesn't have areas of improvement, bro, like, there has been no perfect player in the NFL, and I think the conversation for people who are asking in the chat is definitely warranted, and I think it's important to bring it up as a rookie. Like, he can definitely get better. And that's kind of all. That's all I'm getting at. And I think Dan Quinn is coming from that standpoint of we can get better in passing situations and in critical moments where we can actually save some yardage and make a better play call for our coordinator and things like that. Moving forward, let's pause because he had some more to say about Brian Robinson. He has some more to say about the run defense, and I think we'll talk B-Rob next, and we'll talk about the defense right after that. Let's hear a word from Underdog Fantasy, and let's get back to Dan Quinn. Let me take my breath. Y'all know what this show is sponsored by. Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to cash in on all your takes during the playoffs. Which players are going off and which ones are ice cold. With over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, I wish I could have won at least. Could I won at least $500K of that $2 billion? What am I doing wrong? Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances. I tell y'all every single time about the red zone rush. I tell y'all every single time about the air raid. This weekend we got 2, 5. We got 6 games. 6 games. Y'all know I'm getting some action on that air raid. Which receivers do I think is about to get over 50 yards in a game? 49.5. Exactly. Which ones do I think are going to get higher than that? I'm getting some action on that on Underdog Fantasy. And with their pick'em game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats such as passing yards, touchdowns, interceptions, or more. Outside of the NFL, they got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. We're talking about Jaden Daniels, right? Recently, you think he's going to rack up higher than 40 yards rushing? Hit that higher or lower number. If you think he's going to get higher, you obviously know what to do. Cook up some fire entries for a shot to win some real cash prizes all playoffs long. Underdog is the only pick'em platform that puts the power to cash in your hands. You can keep either riding with your entry or tap win now button to cash out whenever you want. And also, every dog deserves a chance. With Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back in receiver promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. That's important because there are some platforms out here. One of them I mentioned earlier in the show. They don't give a damn about your injuries. If they get injured, you lose your ticket. Understand that. That's important. Like I said, Underdog is the best place to pay pick'em. So download now. Sign up using the promo code TRIBEDIVE. Get up $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. I repeat, download the app. Sign up using promo code TRIBEDIVE. Let's get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. You must be 18 years or older, 19 years or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 years or older in Colorado for some games, 21 plus or older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado for some games. If you are concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. If you're in Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. If you're in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. All right, we're off of the quarterback. Dan Quinn mentioned Brian Robinson over the last few weeks. He's been a hot topic. Moneyball threw a shot my way. I mean, what's up? Like, my boy, like, that is my boy. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm just glad you ain't call him superstar. I only got a couple superstars on this team. So let's go ahead and talk about B-Rob.
They still exist on the team, or
you said you're asking if do some of the superstars still exist?
Your superstars, are they still on the roster?
Big Phil's gone. Nope. I don't think none of them.
Oh, Cole Turner. Cole
Turner's still here, but yeah, I don't really count him. I thought we were talking about active rosters. He ain't out of sight, out of mind. You hear me? All right, so on B-Rob, the last few weeks, he said, yeah, we'll try like hell to get him and others going in this space. One things I did like yesterday, Anthony Lynn had said this, we're going through the game grades from a pass protection standpoint. That was one of the spots we thought was good with Brian's size. it's one of the hidden talents. Obviously had that, but it's different when you have somebody that his size who can step up in the gaps to do it. So he did a nice job onto that. But more than anything, we want somebody to get them. We want somebody like him to get them downhill, be aggressive in that space, and we haven't hit that mark as much as we wanted to as much. And so we got to get. And so when we do get behind on some of them early downs, it makes it more challenging. There's been a previous games where we had penalties that knocked us into this space, and something that heading into the second season, aka playoffs, that is really important to us to make sure we find ways to get that done. Shout out to everybody who thought that he was some ass and pass protection off of one play. I didn't say that to anybody else. I got the film. I watched the film from Atlanta. He had that one play, but the boy did all right at pass protection. Anyway, to what Dan Quinn said about Brian Robinson in the run game. Look at AJ. Tell me where I'm lying. Since that's so funny to you.
Nah, keep going on your soliloquy, man.
No, I'm done. I'm passing it to you. I'm just saying he made sure to mention that
he almost got Jaden Daniels' career ended.
Okay,
I don't know about any other block.
That's one.
Almost had that boy's career ended.
There's a difference between losing.
PCL,
there's
ACL,
a difference between
AOL,
losing a block,
like he almost lost all his L's,
and being some trash in pass protection and being unplayable. Like some of y'all like to mention, y'all said he's unplayable for one moment. Y'all got the floor. Go ahead. He talked about the run game. He talked about the inability to get the run game going. He talked about B-Rob. What are y'all thoughts on B-Rob and Dan Quinn's thoughts on B-Rob? Go ahead. I ain't saying nothing.
I think B-Rob's in his own damn head. Like, I wrote down something as a note to bring up on the show, not even for today's episode, but I meant to bring it up last week after the releasing of the Jaden Daniels mic'd up. B-Rob's confidence is shot. Like, there was a moment in that video where Jaden had to pretty much like tell B-Rob to hang in there. Like, his confidence is shot. So yeah, they may not be getting the push that you might want in the running game overall for any back, like in particular against this Dallas game, but B-Rob's confidence is shot, man. Like, it just is what it is at this point in regards of that. But you hope that, you know, he can continue to stay afloat mindset wise and understand that, you know, he could still break through it and have a moment. I just think that Washington needs to rely heavily on the dual back system. They employed it a little bit against Tampa week 1, but they've been able to expand on that further as the season went on. I think they got to get into a bag with that, and hopefully the lanes get to open up some more, and B-Rob can have some momentum going into this playoff matchup in the early portion of the game.
Funny enough, I'm real quick, Dre. I agree completely with AJ. I think it has a lot to do with his confidence, but I also think I think it has a lot to do with. Excuse me. Let me rephrase. I think it has a lot to do with his confidence, but I also think with that offensive line not being able to do shit for him, I think he's just out there existing. I just think he's out there existing at this point, bro. So hopefully something changes against Tampa.
He's just a body at this point because like when they give him the ball, there's opportunities for him to plant and just go. He's dancing. And it's like it just bothers me. It bothers my mind that he does not realize who he is in his size. Like,
I don't know how many opportunities of those exist. Because that boy
it's not going to if he keeps moving in this manner of not having the confidence in himself, other guys are gonna get those reps, whether it be an Eckler, McNichols, or C-Rod. Like, I mean, yeah, he's just playing himself off the team.
I want to be clear. No, I don't think he's playing himself off the team because I want to be clear, and I think the
like
team
for next year, that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying there's I was listening to Khan's podcast, and he mentioned I don't have the statistics. I'm not an advanced analytics guy, but the man is getting like not even over a yard before getting contacted. Like, he's getting met in the backfield on contact by the defensive line. Like, there's just, you know, the yards before contact number, whatever. Yeah, that thing, like, he's getting hit at the line of scrimmage, which is an indication that your offensive line ain't doing shit for you. And that's been the case for like the last 5-6 weeks. So again, like I said, I'm not an advanced analytic stat guy. So when next time we do the show, I'll make sure to pull it so I can save it and I'll bring it up. Just for the run game in particular, because it's an indication on B-Rob, but it's also an indication on the run game period.
Oh, one last thing. Bring that up. It's gonna get worse. They're going against Vita Vea.
That's what I'm saying. It ain't getting no better this week.
Yeah, Bucks defense is a highly ranked run stopping defense. We seen it in week 1 matchup. Yaya Diaby was killing Cosme, crashing down. Vita Vea was in the backfield, even against the Biotis. It's not gonna get better. And Kalaji Kancey is still doing his thing. So yeah, it's not gonna get better this week. That's why I think if I were them, I mean, we have a Thursday show going over the preview of the matchup. I'm spreading them out.
Why are we doing that, bro? C-Rod, all for those that listen to the podcast, hey, Dre, you ready? I want to make sure. I know. All right. So when Dre gets back, he got the floor. But all the talk says B-Rob. Which one did he say? B-Rob goes for no game every time. Why does C-Rod get in and always produce? His numbers have not been. Now, granted, I don't want to knock Chris Rodriguez completely because he has made some plays to elude defenders. But I think my more frustrating thing when people say things like that is not off the strength of like their evaluation. Like Chris Rodriguez has shown athletically more than Brian Robinson. But to suggest that he is statistically doing much better from excuse me, let me be clear. To suggest that what his statistics are showing is different than what's happening to Brian Robinson, like he's still Chris Rodriguez is still like the yardage thing or the yards from context thing is no different. Like he's still getting met at the line of scrimmage. That still hurts this team. The difference is like again athletically he's a little bit different than Brian Robinson, and that's not it's not a knock on Chris Rodriguez. It's definitely understanding that Brian Robinson is a north to south runner. That's okay. Like there's nothing wrong with being a north south runner. Like people got to understand that. I just think that people got to have that perspective when you talk about these running backs. I don't know where Dre went. I'm sure it's just a connection problem, so it's no big deal. Let's get to the defense, AJ, and we can get up out of here. The secret sauce to sacking Baker Mayfield, he said in week 1 that they certainly didn't have it. He's a rare competitor and that there are some guys in the pocket with foot quickness and ability to move a shoulder to get underneath somebody. They have that in Baker. And you do have to make sure that when you're rushing somebody that you call a cage, where you try to push somebody in a spot, at least not to allow him to hitch up and go. But he just had a fantastic year. Now that we're going into the full breakdown into it, when you place somebody so early, see the typo is, bro. When you play somebody so early, you don't necessarily see it all. Then you look up and see 41 touchdowns, and you see a progress of moments and people. You get a lot of respect for what they're doing offensively for sure. Early in the season, I said it off rip. He's a magician in the pocket. I think he had 4 touchdowns against us that first game. He ends up having 41 touchdowns on the season. His ability to be elusive in the pocket continues to be a thing. But when he's hot, he's hot. He does give you opportunities to turn the ball over. But what do you think about Baker Mayfield going into the wild card matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Baker, he definitely has the ability to extend plays in the pocket, great awareness and manipulating the pocket. He's not going to carve you up like running like a Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, or Lamar Jackson, but he can extend plays enough to be able to get the ball off, and he has a solid enough arm to get those balls to where they need to be to open receivers or whatever the case is. I think with the week 1 thing, they did miss a lot of sacks where they got their hands on them, but it was also week 1. Like I said earlier to start our show, a lot of those guys did not get reps in the preseason. So that was their first time in live action being able to tackle a quarterback. So in this particular moment with now it being the playoffs, I think that they should finish much better at the quarterback. I think the familiarity with Baker Mayfield's game, understanding his elusiveness within the pocket, also makes them understand that they can't take it lightly in finishing. you might get some penalties on Sunday. Like we seen Dante Fowler, you feel me? Getting a lot of not pass rush, but a lot of, what do they call it? Roughing the passer calls.
Yeah, I got you.
That might happen, but it may need to happen one time for them to understand the aggression that they need to go with in wrapping him up and tackling him, not just trying to do, these hit stick tackles like a Luvu. When you get there, actually wrap up. Also, go and swipe for the ball as well while in the pocket. Not just try to get the sack, but try to get the strip sack. I love that in TJ Watt's game, how he attacks the quarterback. It's not just let me get the sack, let me get the strip sack. So I think that's a key element within the defense. But I feel like they'll have a well enough plan for Baker. And I also just want to bring up, I think that they're gonna attack this team in making sure that they don't run well, because this was also the defensive group in Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. That led the Cowboys against the Packers last playoffs, and the Packers ran up and down on them. They're not trying to have that happen again. So
that was painful. I mean, if I'm a Dallas fan, that was painful.
Yeah, so they can't have that happen back-to-back years. I think Bobby Wagner, being a guy with the playoff experience and being able to be the quarterback of the defense is going to make a huge deal for them. Like we said, the defense is what the defense is, but they could give a bit more effort, understanding what's on the line. There's not another week. If you lose, it could be one and done. And this is the opportunity to take advantage of those things and really like kick it up a notch. And playoff game is prime time anyways, but now you're really on prime time for the whole playoff. Yeah, 8 o'clock. I mean, you got Baltimore playing Pittsburgh on Amazon. Nah, this is going on NBC. As long as you got a TV, you got some wires in your house, you're going to be able to watch this game. You feel me? No subscription is needed. So that should bring up, more juices for them to get done. And I just want to see Luvu step it up a bit more. He's been kind of down the last several weeks, but I think that he can bring the right energy into the mix and truly be a vital part in stopping Baker as far as being able to be so elusive as he has shown this year, and especially in the week 1 matchup.
Yeah, man. I think for me, to add on to what you're saying, one thing in particular that's going to be important, breakdowns and coverage happen a lot when the quarterback escapes the pocket, right? You get in that scramble drill mode. It's a cornerback that's in a cover 3 or like cover 2, and they got the flats, and they see that quarterback scrambling, and they forget like their grass, like their area that they're supposed to be covering, and they crash down on that quarterback. Or even the safety where, things change and the receivers, at one point, that they're running a corner, or they're running a post, or they're running a curl. And now because they see that their quarterback is in distress, their route becomes unpredictable now. So now you got to play sticky coverage. You got to have your eyes on the receiver at this point. And you got to try to stick with them because you don't know which way they're going now. They're trying to just break free and make a play for their quarterback. One of the bigger things for a quarterback like Baker Mayfield, who is able to be as elusive in the pocket, is a person who can really make plays and be creative after the play is dead, like extending the play. And I think for him having a Mike Evans and that McMillan and Cade Otton, those guys are important to him in the passing game. And I think those are where things create. Obviously, Chris Godwin killed us. Now he was in structure in terms of like how he performed in week 1. He was their third down guy, killed Mike Sanders still the entire way through. And that's an exaggeration on my part, but like he caught a lot of his passes.
He extended a lot of third downs, just the savviness from the slot.
Yeah, and
that's gone. That's gone now.
And that's gone. But from Baker's standpoint, his ability to extend plays because he's elusive in the pocket is what makes him still dangerous. Just to add to your point, AJ, and into the run game, Bucky Irving has over 1,000 yards as a rusher, And what makes him dangerous is the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can now be a balanced team. I think they did rush for over 100 yards against us. They were balanced nevertheless. I think they scored on or got in the red zone, but like damn near every drive it felt like. I'd have to double check, but he's talking about a running back and in a running game in Tampa Bay that didn't even feature Bucky Irvin like that against us week one. It was Rashad White. They eventually transitioned to Bucky Irvin. But this guy is a person who they've clearly leaned on, and going into the playoffs, they're going to lean on even more. His versatility is important to that offense. And I think for Washington, the idea of having Marshawn Lattimore in the lineup is going to do wonders for these guys, just from an ability to play things a little bit different. They're already transitioning with John Allen coming back with how they play their fronts and how they play their boxes. But that's going to be a big deal for Washington heading into this game as well. And for Baker Mayfield side and what Dan Quinn mentioned, you got to get home, bro. You can't have a game again where you have I'm making up a number here because I don't have it in front of me, where you have 20 pressures and you get home once. You need to disrupt this game. And if you want to make a play for your offense, you got to find a way to get home more than half of the times that you create pressure. And that's kind of putting things out there a little bit more vaguely or broadly. But you got to get home is more than half the times that you created pressure. And we'll see how that goes, bro. But that's what Dan Quinn spoke on with Baker. I think that's an important thing for the run game. All right. Are we missing anything, AJ, before we get up out of here?
Nah, man. I think we now know who the matchup is. Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an amazing game. We got Thursday show. We got Thursday show to really break it down all the way. But I think it's two teams, that are solid teams. I think the benefit is Jaden has went against the Todd Bowles defense and kind of knows what that looks like from a cover zero standpoint and how he utilizes his blitzes and stuff. But the key thing, as we keep saying, is getting ahead of the sticks. Like if they can gain positive yards and not have these penalties or these negative plays, it opens up so much for Cliff to be able to call, and also for what Todd Bowles can't call in certain situations.
There it is. We will have a guest on Thursday to preview the Tampa Bay side, given that it's been 18 weeks since we last checked in on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Morning show, stand by. Friday for sure we good, but tomorrow I'm not too sure. I'll probably end up being in the office. So may not be a morning show tomorrow. But yes, that's kind of it. We'll be back on Thursday. R32 for show tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for us. Y'all take it easy. Appreciate everybody tapping in live ahead. Subscribe button, like button, all that good stuff. We up out of here. Peace.
Chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Damn, set, watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.